Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 1st March 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's discuss the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of article which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. Okay, let's analyze every article one by one. FAB plan can help plug in to the global value chain. That is, recently Tata as well as Taiwan-based company as jointly going to construct a semiconductor manufacturing plant. So this is what the news is about and how it is going to strengthen the value chain and what advantage does India holds in it and what is the positive outcome of it and what are all the incentives being given by government to increase the semiconductor production in India. So these are all the things which we are going to analyze in the upcoming slides. So first we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general science. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with GS paper 3, science and technology, awareness in the field of IT, space, computers, robotics, nanotech, biotech and issues relating to IPR. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the details of the news. See, India's first semiconductor fabrication plant is going to be constructed and it is going to be set by Tata Group as well as the Taiwan's PSMC company. And this plant is proposed to be developed as pure play foundry that rolls out semiconductor wafer for the number of industries including the high performance computing, display drives, microcontrollers, so on and so forth. And it could be significant because nearly 70% of the global production of this wafers have been concentrated on the countries, a certain handful of countries like South Korea, Taiwan as well as China, and the remaining 30% has been heavily concentrated on countries like US, Japan, UK and other European countries. The modern day semiconductors are the ICs, which is called as integrated circuits, are also called as chips, and it is essentially a set of miniature electronic circuits which comprises transistors, diodes, capacitors, resistors which have an interconnection between them depending upon the requirement. And fabs are highly specialized, that is fabs means the fabrication, are highly specialized semiconductor manufacturing facilities that prints the miniature ICs from the chip design to the output, that is the product, that is the silicon wafer. The fabrication process is intricate and requires clean room so that those devices or the process will not get contaminated by the dust air particles. And there could be between 500 to 1500 steps in overall manufacturing process of the semiconductor wafer, and it requires multiple inputs which includes silicon wafers, commodity chemicals, specialty chemicals and other infrastructural prerequisites. And these manufacturing plants could be strategically important because of its usage in downstream industries like rockets, power steering in cars and toasters in kitchen. That is, from the space to the kitchen in the house, it has vast number of application. And the development is significant because there is a rift in the relationship between US and China, which are the dominant semiconductor technology holders in the global arena. If there is a rift, means surely there will be a vacuum will be created because US will be searching for the other countries which it could source the raw material or to the country which it could supply the finished products. Similarly, as India hopes to assume a greater role in this space, and this kind of semiconductor chip manufactured in the domestic area is very important because most of the devices in the space sectors is made up of the semiconductors only, so that it would be reducing the dependency on other countries, which is very important from the strategic point of India. And what are all the incentives being given by government to promote the semiconductors in India is, for example, in 2021, government has rolled out 76,000 crore chip incentive scheme, under which center has offered of the amount of plants capital expenditure cost as the subsidy. Similarly, under product link incentive scheme, government is offering a subsidy on the basis of the sales bill. So this kind of a huge subsidy has been given by government to reduce the capex in the semiconductor manufacturing plant by the private players, those who are interested in investing into it. And the India's chip incentives are focused on boosting all the three components of the semiconductor ecosystem. What are all the three components? First is the packaging unit, second is the assembly unit, and then the full scale foundries. So this is what the incentives being given by government, and the areas where the incentives that has been given by the government is about. And the semiconductors are highly complex products to design and manufacture that provides essential functionalities to electronics devices to process as well as store, transmit the data, which is very important from the digital transformation that is happening around the global arena. And no other industries has similar level of investment in both the R&D as well as the capex, that is the capital expenditure. So this is what the incentives is about, and from the thing that is a mere monopolization of the semiconductor. What is the situation of it? What is the situation with regards to the semiconductor manufacturing at the global level right now? See, the global semiconductor chip industry is dominated by, as I said, handful of countries like Taiwan, South Korea, which combinedly making 80% of global foundry for the chips. And only one company, that is the Netherlands-based ASML, is producing EUV device, without which it is not possible to create the advanced chip. So the Apple or the Apple and the other technological giants are the customer for these companies. And then the Cambridge UK based chip arm is the world's biggest supplier of chip design element, which is being used in products from smartphones to the game consoles. So high entry level barriers make the Chinese SMIC, which is the China's national semiconductor maker, is to struggle now because of the rift it has created with the Western country, because most of the chip input raw materials or the elements that is necessary for making the chips has been sourced from the Western countries by China, which has been facing difficulty because of the increased blockade as well as the sanctions by the Western countries on China. And India's cooperation with the countries like US, EU, Japan and Korea, that is cooperation means the positive cooperation. So it provides opportunity for India to source the raw materials as well as the input that is required for manufacturing the semiconductors in India itself. And the government is evaluating the proposal that has been sent by Israel's Tower Semiconductor, which has submitted an application to develop $11 billion fabrication plant in the company. Last year, US based Micron Technology has been given approval by government, which is going to invest around 2.75 billion in the packaging plant. So this is what the thing with regards to the semiconductor manufacturing at the global level, and with regards to the semiconductor manufacturing at the India level. So what are all the challenges India might be facing here? See, because of the opportunities, a number of opportunities the semiconductor manufacturing plant is going to produce, India's close allies like United States, European Union also sense the semiconductor opportunities, same like India. So they are also rolling out more number of lucrative incentive schemes, which will be acting as pull factor for the private investors. So this lucrative incentive scheme by the US as well as other Western countries will act as competitive factor for India. And then India has the biggest back office for design engineers, but there is lack in skill that can work on the factory floors in the fabrication plant. Thirdly, India lacks on original research in the semiconductor design. So these are all the three challenges right now India might be facing in the future. And what has been done by the government is, see, India is setting up the Bharat Semiconductor Research Center to increase the research in the semiconductor department or the semiconductor areas. And this research center is going to be set up in Bali, where the research will be focusing on developing chip that can address India's unique challenges as well as needs. So this is what the thing that has been done by the India to overcome the challenge. So what need to be studied further is, we should be aware of the manufacturing policy, the FDI policy, as well as the trade policy, as well as the other investment facilitation policy that has been spearheaded by government with regards to the changes that has been happening after pandemic. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Hydrogen power ferry has been launched by Prime Minister. So the news is related to the hydrogen power ferry that has been launched in Varanasi by the Prime Minister. And how the news has been related with examination is, under prelims the news is related to general science. Similarly, under mains it has been related with achievements of Indians in science and technology, indigenization of technology, and developing the new technology. So this is how the news has been related with examination. So PM has launched the India's first indigenously developed hydrogen fuel cell ferry, and the vessel is being manufactured by Cochin Shipyard Limited, and it will deploy for service at Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. And the ferry will be handed over to the Inland Waterway Authority of India by the Cochin Shipyard Limited, which comes under Ministry of Ports after rigorous trial. And the Ministry of Port has met the 75% of the project cost, that it has invested 75% of the cost that is required for the ferry manufacturing. So what are all the ferry's features? See, the hydrogen fuel cell is a 24-meter long catamaran which can carry 50 people in its air-conditioned passenger area. The accommodation area has been constructed with high-quality fiberglass, reinforced plastic similar to metro train coaches. And these boats have 5 hydrogen cylinders that can carry 40 kgs of hydrogen and support 8 hours of operation, and the vessel is also fitted with 3 kilowatt solar panel. And the hydrogen powered fuel vessel has the zero emission, zero noise, as well as it is highly energy efficient. So this is what the ferry's feature is about. And it has no moving parts, so because of which it requires only less maintenance only. So what does this hydrogen fuel cell, how it works? See, it is the fuel cell which generates electricity by utilizing the chemical energy, and it releases only the water and doesn't discharge any pollutant. It produces electricity by reacting with oxygen in the air, so that the electricity will be produced as the byproduct of the reaction. So unlike the battery, the hydrogen fuel cell does not require recharging unless provided the uninterrupted supply of water and oxygen is given to it. So what type of cell has been used in the ferry? So this vessel uses 50 kilowatt for proton exchange membrane fuel cell with lithium iron phosphate battery. And the advantage is that the cell can quickly change their output depending on the power demand. So if the demand is high means, so it could able to change the power output accordingly. If it is less means, vice versa, that is, it could be able to reduce the power output accordingly. And the PM fuel cell are popular in automotive application because they can operate at the low temperature and more compact in nature. So this is what the advantage of the types of fuel cells that is being used in the ferry. So this fuel cell, this vessel has been built completely by Cochin Shipyard Limited, which also developed the vessel's automation system and then the power management system. The hydrogen fuel cell system was developed by KPIT Technology, which is based in Pune, in collaboration with the CSIR lab. So these are all the stakeholders being involved in the construction of various aspects of this ferry. And the fuel cell technology has been under development for marine application in various parts of the country, and the implementation of the hydrogen fuel cell in Varanasi gives India an early mover advantage to tap the potential of the emerging greening fuels in the marine sector, which is in line with the Harit Nauka, a green boat initiative by Ministry of Port. So what does this Harit Nauka is? So it is an initiative which was launched by Ministry of Ports during 2024, that is during January 2024. The shipping ministry, what it has said or mandated through this guideline or the initiative is that the state need to have or make effort to use green fuel for the 50% of inland waterways by the next decades or the upcoming 10 the next decades. The states need to use 50% of greener fuel for the inland waterways, and it should achieve the 100% of greener fuel by 2045. So this is what the initiative is about, and the project clearly falls in the line with this initiative. So this is what the thing with regards to the hydrogen fuel cell ferry which has been launched by Prime Minister recently is about. So what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of what the renewable schemes, United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, and Panchamarat promise being made by India, the global. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Mauritius, Maldives as well as India. So the recent the news is related to the recent tussle between India and Maldives, and the recent launch of the certain infrastructure development in Mauritius by India. So this is what the news is about. First we will look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with India and its neighborhood relations, which comes under GS paper 2, international relations. Okay, let's look into the explanation of the news. The first team of India's technical personnel reached the Maldives to take charge of one of the 3 aviation platforms, and they will replace the Indian military personnel whose first batch set to leave by the 10th of this month, according to the agreement between India and Maldives. And the Prime Minister has inaugurated a airstrip and a jetty at that India built on the Agaliga Island and a 2-island Mauritian dependency, which is 1,100 km to north of the Port Louis and 2,500 km southwest of the Mali. And then the Mauritius and Maldives have strategic significance for India, and India's maritime interest in the Indian Ocean is linked to the presence of presence as well as increased activities of the Chinese in the region. So first we will look into the Maldives case with the India. So the Maldives president, who has been elected recently, is a pro-Chinese, and he has requested India to withdraw its military personnel from its country. As a result of which, India is right now withdrawing the military personnel, and these personnels are going to be replaced by the technical civilian personnels. And the Maldives defense minister, what they have said is that first team of the Indian civilians have arrived and would take charge of the helicopter which is in Adu, the country's southernmost atoll. So this is what the Maldives case is about. And the Mauritius case, the Prime Minister visit to Mauritius in March 2015 led to signing of MOU for improvement in the sea and air transportation facilities at Agaliga Island. And the MOU signed in the Mauritius capital, Port Louis, provided for setting up as well as upgradation of infrastructure for improving sea and connectivity at the outer island of the Mauritius. It will enable ameliorating the conditions of inhabitants of the remote islands and enhance the capability of Mauritian defense forces in safeguarding their territory. And then the MOU reflects the India's commitment to the development assistance for Mauritius. And then the presence of India would lead to more effective monitoring of Mauritius vast 2.3 million square kilometer of exclusive economic zone, and set up and equip you to better counter the things like piracy, terrorism, narcotics, human trafficking, illegal as well as unregulated fishing. So this is what the importance the Mauritius holds for India, and this is what the important India holds for Mauritius. So this is what the thing with regards to the Maldives as well as Mauritius is about, and we will look into the Chinese in the Indian Ocean, what they are doing and why the Indian Ocean is important for Chinese. Chinese sees great value in having a powerful presence in the Indian Ocean region. Why? Because the 9 of the Chinese 10 crude oil supplies happening to this Indian Ocean transit route only, and it is also a primary threat for the transit, primary theater of transit for China for engagement with Africa, Middle East as well as the European countries. And the China is the only country that has embassy in all the 6 island countries surrounding the Indias, like Sri Lanka, Maldives, Mauritius, Seychelles, Madagascar, Comoros. And in 2017, China opened its first overseas military facility in the Indian Ocean, and that is in Djibouti, which is in Horn of Africa. And what all the experts are the international relation experts are saying is that it is high time that the China might be opening another military base in the other countries which is situated in the Indian Ocean region. So this is what the thing is about. So what is the view from New Delhi? That is, what is the view of India with regards to the current situation now? So India sees the urgency and importance of working with the government of all this island nation because of the strategic importance it holds for India's security in the Indian Ocean, and the domestic politics of these countries, that is the island countries, will have an impact on the behavior in forming the international relationship or the foreign policy, and India will have to maintain its diplomatic relationship well while continuously pursuing its strategic interests at the similar lines, so that it is from India point of view, these island countries are very important strategically, so that the diplomatic relationship need to be maintained so good that it doesn't cause any kind of threat to our strategic interest. So what need to be studied further is we should be aware of the Maldivian maps, the Mauritius map, as well as the India-Maldives relationship. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Modi hails increase in leopard numbers. Report says feline counts highest in the Madhya Pradesh. So recently the leopard count report has been released by Ministry of Environment Forest Change. So what is the detail of it and what is the characteristic of leopard is about, we will look into the upcoming slides. Before that, we will look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, climate change that does not require any kind of subject specialization. Similarly, under mains, it is related to conservation, environmental pollution, degradation, and then environmental impact assessment. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay. The Environment Ministry has released a report on the leopard, and according to which India's estimated leopard population has increased from 12,852 in 2018 to 13,874 in 2022. And Madhya Pradesh has the highest number of countries leopard at 3,907. Number of felines has grown from 1,690 in 2018 to 1,985 in 2022 in Maharashtra, from 1783 to 1879 in Karnataka, from 1868 to 1070 in Tamil Nadu. Central India shows a stable, slightly growing leopard population, and then Shivalik as well as the Indo-Gangetic plain is experiencing a slightest decline in terms of the leopard population. And in Madhya Pradesh, the leopard occupancy has increased in Chambal as well as the Bundelkhand region with a marginal decline from Chindwara forest. And in terms of tiger reserve, the Panna Tiger Reserve and then the Kuno National Park exhibits some of the highest leopard densities in India. And what is the way forward that has been suggested by the report is that effective vigilance is required to address both the targeted as well as the unintentional poaching, and then effective implementation of mitigation measures concerning the infrastructure development project to ensure the continued well-being of the leopard population is required. So these are all the way forward that has been given by the report, and this is what the situation of the leopard in India according to the ministry. Okay, let's look into. So what does the Indian leopard is about? So Indian leopard is found in all the forest type, from tropical rainforest to temperate deciduous alpine coniferous forest, and it is also found in dry scrubs and then grassland. The only exception being the desert and the mangroves of Sundarbans. Melanism is the common occurrence in leopard. That melanism means the skin of the leopard will be turning into black, which is the common factor in the leopard. And leopards are nocturnal, that is, they will be hunting at the night time, and it feeds on smaller species of herbivores. And the Wildlife Institute of India, which is responsible and which works under the Ministry of Environmental, Forest and Climate Change, is responsible for releasing the report, and it has been constituted in 1982 under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So it is a statutory body, and this is what the thing is. And what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and then the Biodiversity Act 2002, as well as the Forest Act. These are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Fiscal deficit at 63% of full year target. So the news is related to fiscal deficit. First we will look into the relation of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with economic and development, which comes under a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. This is how the news has been related with prelims as well as mains. So the government fiscal deficit is at 11 lakh crores at January, which touched the 63.6% of the revised annual target. And the fiscal deficit, or the gap between the expenditure and the revenue, was 67.8% of the revised estimate of the financial year 23 union budget. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into what does this fiscal deficit is about. See, the fiscal deficit is nothing but the difference between the total income as well as the total expenditure. The total income includes total revenue receipts as well as the non-debt capital receipts. So this is what the fiscal deficit is about, and what is the harmful impact as it has on economy. So it will be crowding out the private investment, because high fiscal deficit will be leading to high borrowing by the government from the public, which in turn will be leading to less amount of space for the private investors. Secondly, it will be leading to high interest rate because of the huge demand that has been coming from the government borrowing. Thirdly, it will be leading to high inflation, because if the government is going to borrow from RBI, means RBI will be printing the money, new currency, which will be supplied to the economy, so that it will be having an inflationary effect. Thirdly, it will be leading to dependency on the external factors. If the fiscal deficit is going to rise, means surely there will be borrowing from the government will also get increased. The borrowing might be from domestic as well as international institutions. If it is going to be international institution, means surely there will be a dependency on the international factors will also come into play. So this is what the impact it will be creating in an economy. So what are the reason for the fiscal deficit or the rise in the fiscal deficit is, it is due to the tax to GDP ratio, which is very less. If the tax collected is not in tune with the GDP, means surely it will be leading to less amount of resource for the government to do any kind of expenditure or the infrastructure development related activities. And then high subsidies will also be leading to sometimes increased fiscal deficit, off budget financing, and then the interest payment by the government will also be leading to increased fiscal deficit. So these are all the reason for the increased fiscal deficit. So what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of types of deficit, and then FRBM Act, what are all the objective and provision that has been given under it, and we should be aware of Mission Indradhanush with regards to the banking sector. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. With this, we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's move on to today's practice prelims question. Today's practice prelims question. So mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe Ganesh's YouTube channel so that you will be receiving daily current affairs session notification as well as weekly environmental and science and tech current affair notification, and then any other important session notification that will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.